Welcome students to my class of BA Part 2 English Literature. We are continuing with Shelley's poem Ode to the West Wind, and as you can recall, in the last classes we had covered in detail the first 3 cantos out of the 5 cantos of this poem. And this poem, it can be analyzed, is divided basically broadly into 2 parts, and the first part consists of the 3 cantos, where the poet describes about the qualities of the wind and its effect upon the different elements of nature. And each canto, as you would remember, ends with the invocation towards the end of "O hear," where the poet asks the wind to hear what he has to say. And the last 2 parts, consisting of the Canto 4 and 5, describe and give a relation between the west wind and the persona or the speaker. So we find that in the Canto 4 and 5, Shelley becomes more subjective and autobiographical, and he is reminded of the life's sufferings and hardships he is going through. And because as a child or as a boy, he was had the same qualities which he sees in the west wind, and he had that uncontrollable and impetuous energy as the west wind. But as he grew, he found himself being crushed under the terrible burden of the customs and conventions of life in England at that time, and he lost slowly his old vigor and vitality. So, Shelley here in the West Wind wants to appeal to the wind to infuse him with a new life and energy, and he expresses his self pity also, which is a characteristic of all romantic poetry. And especially Shelley, he finds that like a child who has been orphaned and who lost its happiness at the hands of unsympathetic relatives. So, in the fourth stanza, Shelley's imagination, which was roaming over the earth, the sky, and the ocean in the first 3 cantos, closely following the movement of the west wind, suddenly closes its wings, and he wants the intervention of the west wind so that he can also have the same energy and power as the west wind. So let us focus on the Canto 4 in detail. Here the poet says, "If I were a dead leaf, thou mightest bear; if I were a swift cloud to fly with thee, a wave to pant beneath thy power, and share the impulse of thy strength, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. If even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven, as then when to outstrip thy sky speed scarce seemed a vision, I would never have striven, as thus with thee in prayer in my sore need. O let me lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life. I bleed. A heavy weight of hours has chained and bowed one too like thee, tameless and swift and proud."